This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with a daily wrestling news update. And if you want to know more news from the week, check out my weekly review of Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer, which I did earlier today. But let's jump into it. WWE has released 8 wrestlers. And that's not good news, but no surprise for most of them. The only ones that I've heard the name of before are Dakota Kai and Dexter Loomis. The other ones released are Malcolm Bivens. Wow, with a name like that, could you imagine Malcolm Bivens didn't get over? Who comes up with, honestly, who do they hire to come up with these stupid names? Heartland, who was Parker Boudreaux. That was the guy that looked like Brock Lesnar. I guess that one's a surprise, actually. They had big plans for that guy at one point, and they were all saying he was going to be the next Brock Lesnar. But then they ended up, the only thing I saw of him in WWE after all the hype was him doing some type of gay gimmick, which I thought was a strange gimmick to give a guy with his look. Persia Pyrota, never heard of her. Draco Anthony, never heard of him. Referee Blair Baldwin. Vish Kaya, real name Sanjana George, never heard of it. Don't know if it's a guy or a girl. Mila Milani. Nice name. I actually like her name, but I've never heard it before. And Rylan Devine was the other one released. So I guess the most surprising there was this Parker Boudreaux, who everyone was saying was going to be the next Brock Lesnar. So in other wrestling news, the September 3rd WWE UK event is going to be called Clash at the Castle. No, it is not taking place in a castle. It's taking place at a soccer stadium. So there's another name that doesn't make sense. I guess because Wales is in the UK and there's castles in the UK, they're gonna think that Clash at the Castle. Maybe they're gonna have the whole thing made up to look like a castle. Then it would make sense. So maybe I'm speaking too soon. Are they gonna make the whole venue look like a castle? Then I guess it might make sense. But from what I understand, it's not happening in a castle at this point. It's happening at you guys might call it football in the UK, but I still call it soccer. Football is where you wear pads, and we have the CFL here in Canada, and there's the NFL in the US. So that's what I call football. You guys play soccer over there. So I know I'll get some heat for saying that, but I love heat. Cody Rhodes will be appearing on Steve Austin's Broken Skull Sessions on an upcoming edition of that. And by the way, September 3rd, speaking of September 3rd, in Wales, there is going to be that UK pay-per-view, but in Canada here, the biggest wrestling event on September 3rd is going to be the Great North Wrestling event in Petawawa, Ontario. And there has been a small bit change in the card. It was going to be Blood Hunter against Charlie Haas with the Texas title on the line. But now Charlie Haas is going to wrestle Jeremy Prophet for the Canadian Championship. And Blood Hunter is going to wrestle Ricky Banderas, a.k.a. Mil Morte, the match that was supposed to happen last week but didn't due to some COVID issues. But things are opening up here in Canada, and Petawawa, I don't expect any problems. This event is happening. Vipress is going to be there. Jenny Santana is going to be there. Tickets are on sale now at ticketweb.ca. And the more information is at thehannibaltv.com. Mike's tipping me $2. He really wants that Jerry Saggs interview. Jerry Saggs' biggest fan, probably the only fan of Jerry Saggs left. Al says, good evening. Crying, what's up? I had a nice dinner. Had a great chest workout earlier. Actually, I hit the biggest bench press today that I've done since I tore my chest. So I was happy about that. And I'm weighing in at about 276 right now. Roy Jones put something up. A fist. I wasn't sure if it was a fist or a piece of shit because I don't have my glasses on and it was brown. Larry Bird, do people still watch WWE? I don't know who does. I really don't know anyone that does. I actually was speaking with someone yesterday who I hadn't spoken to since the Royal Rumble. And they were a big WWE fan, and they told me they actually has hardly watched it since the Royal Rumble, and they've lost interest in it. Mickey James, what about Dana Brooke, or do they still want her for comedy? I've heard the name. I don't know who she is, but she wasn't on the list. Nelson would hate to tangle with Brock. Am I still wrestling? Well, I'm recovering from an injury right now, but I will be wrestling September the 3rd. Maybe twice that night. I don't know. I might need to have a warm-up match earlier on in the night before I take on Ricky Banderas. And by the way, I will have a new manager that night, which I don't think I'm going to announce till closer to the event. Mick, can't see why WWE cuts wrestlers who are currently in storylines. Doesn't make sense. Well, maybe because no one's watching NXT, so they just don't give a shit about it, just like no one else gives a shit about it. Jason doesn't like to hear about wrestlers losing their jobs. Well, I would say that those jobs being cut opens the door for more people that have been on the independents working all their lives to get those opportunities, but now they want to give opportunities to washed up NFL players that are only going to do it for the pay because you get paid to train with WWE. They don't want independent wrestlers anymore. So Dan says, hi from Vegas, loves my interviews. Did I ever interview Gail Kim? She told me she couldn't due to something to do with Impact Wrestling. No surprise, people still getting released. They have a lot of people on their roster. And for the people that aren't getting over, there should be a high turnover in wrestling. Barry says, football, you call it cowards rugby with all the padding. Well, I actually used to be a rugby player. And yes, I'll pull it Al Bundy. We were city champions my senior year. And I was the enforcer of the team. Go Crean Wilson Wildcats. I was number 8 that year. Barlight Broker says, keep lifting. Mike says, if I interview Jerry Saggs, please let it be me and not someone else. I don't know, man. No promises. Jason, did any of those released wrestlers ever compete on the main roster? I really don't know. Jason can't wait to see the Blood Hunter again. Jimmy Smith, when am I doing a Kevin Von Erich interview? Don't know. It's not high on my priority list, and supposedly he's hard to track down, and he's going through health issues last I heard. But hopefully, that was a while ago, so hopefully he's doing better. Justin, I think the only way you would ever see Blood Hunter in WWE is if the Blood Hunter Thirst and Rage movie does really well, and it actually gets picked up as a series, and the popularity of the Blood Hunter eclipses the heat he has with WWE. Otherwise, I wouldn't expect it. He would be a good addition to their roster, to be perfectly honest with you. But at the same time, they like yes men and suck up. So behind the scenes, it wouldn't work. And he wouldn't have a lot of political allies. For instance, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn hate me. AJ Styles, from what I understand, doesn't like me. Little dweeb, I won't even say what I'm going to call him. Little pansy Jamie Noble doesn't like me. So I think I'm better off doing my own thing, which I'm very happy at doing, by the way. That when I wanted to be in WWE was when I was a kid growing up watching 80s and 90s wrestling. The wrestling, if you watch SmackDown right now, is nothing at all like it was in the 80s and 90s. It's complete. I can't even watch the 3-minute highlights anymore. So it's not like this is something that I love and I really want to do it because I love it so much. I still enjoy being in the ring, which is why I'm going to wrestle September 3rd. I like the aggression, getting out the aggression. I like the crowd reactions and stuff. But I like my job as an interviewer a lot better, and I like editing, and I like not having to travel very much. Cryan agrees. It's not the same. And Anthony says, because WWE sucks now. Mike says he likes me and I'm the best. Well, thank you, Mike. Anthony, I was in Jersey in January. More than likely, I'll be back again at some point this year. So on that note, I haven't quite decided if I'm going to do a second workout or just run. I'm going to figure it out, but it's actually a nice night out, as you can see behind me. I'm blessed to live on a lake. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Party it up. I'll be training, not partying. Although I do have a date with a really hot girl tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about it. Really excited, actually. Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video. Then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss any of my latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Facebook at the Hannibal TV for more live streams and videos.